So this unit, animal handling, involves handling the animals for certain different reasons, so for certain different scenarios. So first of all, we're going to look at a guinea pig and the risks associated with handling a guinea pig. Usually the guinea pig needs removing from its accommodation so that the accommodation can be cleaned. That's the usual reason for the guinea pig being picked up and moved. So the guinea pig needs removing from its normal accommodation. That's the reason for requiring restraint, and needs putting into alternate accommodation whilst you clean the main accommodation. So what's the risk then? What might happen during that procedure? Well, the guinea pig could become stressed. That's the main risk, I suppose. And so it needs handling properly so that it doesn't become stressed, and it needs moving quickly again so it doesn't become too stressed and too anxious. It could also bite the handler, that's a possibility, or scratch the handler. Guinea pigs have quite long claws. Even when they're cut back, there's a long portion of claw that carries a vein, so it carries blood vessels, and so they're still quite long even when they've been clipped, and so it could scratch you. Of course, the guinea pig could escape as well and become stressed if it were outside of its accommodation. So what about the restraint required? Well, it needs removing quickly. It's not being examined, so it just needs removing quickly and into alternate accommodation. So a scruff method probably is the easiest method. That's where you can just grab it in the loose skin and fur behind its neck and just move it quickly into alternate accommodation. The alternate accommodation, such as a carry case, could be nearby so that you're not carrying it by the scruff of the neck too far. If you feel as if you need to handle it further and need to remove it to alternate accommodation that's further behind, then the body method would be better. So you'd use a claw, so put your hand across the top of its back and pick it up, and then lift it from underneath and put it close to your body so that you're supporting it from underneath if you're carrying it far away. But if you've got a carry cage nearby, if you've got a portable carry cage, you can just lift it by the scruff of the neck and then just drop it into the carry cage if that's nearby. What PPE, what personal protective equipment is needed, so what control measures are needed? Probably gloves are the main thing that you would need, so to stop it biting you or scratching you. You probably have long sleeves on as well, and you might have an apron, because if it decides it's going to urinate or if it's going to produce feces on your clothing, then that's a good idea to wear an apron as well. The other reason to prevent an apron is it can be wiped down. You're not carrying any potential infection then from any urine or feces on your clothes. How the PPE should be used? Well, gloves obviously on your hands, carry cage open nearby, ready to put the guinea pig straight into that and prevent escape. You might even decide you want the carry cage inside the accommodation, and so you're just moving it a short distance, and then there's no chance of the actual guinea pig escaping from its accommodation. Then you can lift it straight out within its carry case. When not to restrain an animal, so if it's ill or stressed in some way, if it's not been well, if it's very young, if it looks aggressive, or maybe if it's pregnant, would be a reason to not restrain the animal. How to ensure that the animal's safety when being handled? Well, we've mentioned that already. You can use the scruff method, so pick it up in the from the back of the neck, in the loose fur and skin at the back of the neck. But if it's being carried a further distance, if you feel you're not just dropping it into a carry cage close by, then you'd use the claw method, round the top of its back, lift it up, support it from your hand underneath, and put it close to your body if you're wearing an apron, and then you can sort of support it more securely for carrying further distances if you need to move it to accommodation, which is a little way away. It'll keep it secure then close to your body whilst you're moving it from one location to the other. Animal disease prevention, we've already mentioned about using an overall in some way so that you can wipe that down. It prevents urine or feces getting onto your clothes, and also prevents, therefore, bacteria spreading onto your clothes. The other thing as well is possibly latex gloves. You might wear latex gloves or other forms of gloves to prevent disease being spread. And then, of course, wash your hands and possibly use antibacterial lotion to prevent the spread of disease to you. Animals such as guinea pigs can carry zoonotic diseases. They're diseases that can be spread from an animal to a human. Evaluation of risk, I think it's a low risk. It's a small animal. We're talking about using a scruff method and moving it a very short distance for a very short length of time. You've got PPE, gloves to prevent biting the handler or scratching the handler, and you've also got an apron, and you're also aware of the use of washing your hands, possibly use of latex gloves to stop zoonotic diseases and bacteria spreading. So I think the risk is fairly low.